In this video, I'm going to show you how to make it snow with Unity. We're going to make the snow fall really slow, or we're going to make it so that it looks like a blizzard where it's moving really fast and wind is moving it. So grab your coats and put your beanie on, and let's get to coding. Hey everyone. So we're going to start with making the slow falling snow, and then we're going to work on making sort of like a blizzard. Right click in your hierarchy, and then go to Effects, Particle System, and I'm going to rename this to Snow. And right off the bat, you'll see that it's just everything is going up. So you know how snow is falling, we're going to go ahead and reverse the speed here. So if you look to the right here, you'll see this right here, it says speed, and it's starting at 5. So what we're going to do is we're going to switch that to say like -2, and notice that the particle system is actually going down. But we want it to move much slower than that. And I also want there to be sort of a randomness to it. So if you right click this little drop down arrow next to start speed, this little drop down arrow, click this and then go to random between 2 constants. And what we're going to do is I'm going to make it let's say -0.1, and then we'll do -2 to make it a little faster. Now notice some will fall a little faster, some will fall slower. So that little randomness I think is helpful. If you're watching snow, usually the size of the snowflakes is changing over time. So you'll see this start size of 1, and what I'm going to do is make that random as well. So this little drop down right here, we're going to change it to random between 2 constants, and I'm going to start it at 0.2, then we're going to do 1, just like that. So it'll choose between here. Now one thing to note is that the particles, they just look like a bunch of cotton balls. In the description down below, you'll see a link for free assets, and I have a snowflake image that I'm using for this. So with that snowflake image, what we can do is go to the renderer part of the particle effect, and you'll see this default material. What you're going to do is you're going to create your own material, a particle material, and then swap in the snowflake image so that instead of these little cotton ball things, you're going to see more of a snowflake. So what I'm going to do is make a new material that we're going to use. And I'm going to call this snowflake. And the shader I'm going to use is the particle shader. So I scroll down to particles, and then I'll just do standard unlit. And I'm going to look for the snowflake image. So now what I'll do is I'm going to, actually this needs to be a cutout, because I want the snowflake to show the transparency. And now I'm going to drag it onto this renderer right here. So now you'll see a bunch of snowflakes appearing. They're kind of bunched together, so what you could do is, to make it a little bigger, we can go to shape. And right now it's using a cone. You'll see it sort of looks like this. And I'm going to make this a box. And I'm just going to make the scale a little larger, so just to show you what it looks like over a larger area. So let's say 2020 on the scale. Notice the box and where it's now rendering the particle effect. So you'll see it sort of right over the snowman. One of the things is, the more particles you have, the performance could take a hit depending on how much you have showing at once. So it really depends on the size of your level. But one thing you could do is if you attached this to, say, the camera. So if I grab this particle effect and attached it to my main camera, or wherever your character is in scene, when you move, and because it's a child of the camera, if you move the camera with it, the particle effects will move with it. So, you'll always have snow in front of you without it, impacting performance as much. But you lose that, realism where when you're moving, the snow kind of falls and you move through it. So, just, something to think about. The thing with snow is it's not always going to be, the same amount falling at once. So to randomize it, you can go to this little variable here called emission, and we could do a rate over time. We could do like between two random numbers. So let's just say 5 and 20. And when snow usually hits the ground, it's supposed to melt or things like that. So to make it sort of appear like it's, melting or disappearing over time, you can change the alpha when it reaches the end of its lifetime. So if you go to color over lifetime, click this, and you click the color, and you'll see right here, this is the beginning of the animation and this is the ending. So clicking right here, this top one, it changes the alpha, and then this changes the color, the bottom one. So I'm going to click the top one, and I'm going to change the alpha to 0. So it'll start off at 1 and go to 0. But I don't want it to disappear right away. So I'm going to start it here. So I'll click, it'll create another keyframe. I'm going to slide this up to 255. So now it'll be fully visible until the end of its lifetime, and then it'll disappear. So you'll see here it slowly disappears and fades away. Looks a little better. But what would snow be like if it wasn't actually colliding with the terrain? This can also be, a performance hit. So, just be careful how much collision you use. But if you do a small amount, it should be fine. So to enable a collision for you to, say, hit the terrain in your scene, go to collision, open it up, and then what you want to do is you'll want to change the type to world, so it's going to hit the terrain. And I'm going to change this to, I'm going to leave that 3D, and I want a lifetime loss of 1, so when it hits it, it's actually going to disappear. Okay, I just gave it a box collider. So this snow, when it hits the plane, should disappear. So you see how it's disappearing? And if we get rid of this lifetime loss, set it to 0, it won't disappear, but what we could do is we could change the dampen to 1, so once it hits the ground, it kind of sits there for a little bit. So I'm going to move my camera over here so you can see it better. And notice the flakes, when they hit the ground, now they're just kind of sitting there. So it looks like they're kind of accumulating. If you want to give it like wind or make it appear like it's moving, kind of like a blizzard, you can modify the velocity. So if you look at the snow particle effect, look at this velocity over lifetime variable, open this up, and I'm going to go ahead and change the X value. And notice how it moves slightly over a little bit. And I'm going to make it say 10, then you really got it blowing around. And but I would, make it a little random. So I would do, so I'm going to do random between two constants. Let's say, -2, and I want it to be -7. So I change the X to random variables, and notice it blowing around randomly in the scene. So you can, just tweak these depending on what you want it to look like. And then one last thing I want to do is the velocity over lifetime. I want to change the Z as well, so I want to go down a little bit. So if I change this variable right here, so I have -2 and -7 on the X, and I have -3, and let's do -8, or -5 actually, and we'll leave this at 0. So you'll see some snowflakes fall down and some blow more to the left, but it gives it a little element of randomness. And let me make this bigger so you can see it better. So that kind of gives you like this blizzard effect. So that's it for snow. I've really only scratched the surface of the particle system and how to make snow with Unity. If you have any comments or questions about this video, post it down below. And if you want me to do other videos like this or maybe expand on the particle system, definitely let me know. Thanks again for watching and have a good one.